And today, we want to focus on the work that is done by the University Outreach Committee, which is part of the CFA Society, Sri Lanka. So just to give you some context as to why, particularly why the CFA Institute thinks this is an important area, is because if you look at the CFA program, as you would be familiar with, that one of the requirements to sit for the program is that you need to have completed or to be in the final year of an undergraduate program or an equivalent qualification. So there is that aspect. Another thing is if you look at a lot of the profiles of the CFA candidates, particularly the first time candidates, a lot of them you might be in the final year at uni, or you might be currently studying there. So hence what we thought was this is something that is something very relatable to a lot of candidates. So to shed some light on what are the activities of the outreach committee, today we are happy to have as our guest Thilan Sampath from USABase, and he is the chair of the University Outreach Committee. So Thilan, thanks for joining us today. And so to get started, could you give me an overview of what is the main objective of the University Outreach Committee?
Okay, Travis, yeah, thanks very much for giving the opportunity first. So starting with the Outreach Committee's objective, so we work as the unit that acts as the main liaison between the local universities in Sri Lanka and CFA Sri Lanka Society. So as Travis mentioned also, a lot of you could be university students as well. But in addition, the CFA Society, the Global CFA Society has a program that enrolls universities in respective countries to their program. So which is called the CFA's University Affiliation Program. And that is one of the main tasks we carry out as the University Outreach Committee. That is to make sure that we get certain universities under the affiliation program and keep the relationship with them and keep the rest of the requirements, like keeping the curriculum into include certain sections of our CFA curriculum to the university curriculum, etc. So keeping that is the main thing we do. And the second thing we try to achieve also is, this is related to this is actually go in conjunction with the two other committees, which is Scholarship Committee as well as the Research Challenge Committee. That is to make sure university students, we promote the CFA as a postgraduate qualification among the university students and lecturers as well. So that's the main objective as a committee.
Okay, so under that broad objective, what are the sort of activities that you would typically have in a given year?
Okay, so in that sense, the typical stuff we do are like, number one, arranging guest lectures within the university premises. And we provide the resource persons to conduct those different guest lectures. So the topics can range from like, theoretical aspect, like, how to do equity research report, how to do, how to build a sell-side financial model, or things like how the bond market works. And that's on the theory side. But in addition, things like, how can shape, what are the career options you have in this finance and investment field. So that kind of awareness plus study support sessions we do in conjunction with the university faculties. Then we participate in several events in the universities on behalf of CFA Sri Lanka, such as research conferences they organize and any other student conferences, or they are even to their Viva evaluation panels. Kind of stuff we make our contribution as a society. Then finally, we support universities on certain sponsorships as well. Mainly, we sponsor the awards for the batch tops in two of the universities we have affiliations with. and we provide, sponsorships also, on case-by-case basis to certain student events as well.
Okay, so yeah, so that's quite a variety of things that you have. So overall, how has the response been in terms of the university students, in terms of the attendance, in terms of the feedback from these activities? How has that been?
Well, attendance is quite good. We usually speak to at least, third year and fourth year students who are in the finance degrees of these universities. Actually, sorry, before going to this detail, let me just mention what are the universities we have. So currently we have affiliations, officially affiliated with the University of Jagadnapura, University of Colombo, University of Kalani, and University of Wyoming. And within these universities, who we are affiliated mainly are the finance degree program. For example, in Jagadnapur University, BSc Finance degree from the management faculty. From the Columbia University, is the accounting and finance degree. And Wyoming University is called the banking and finance degree. So these degree programs which have finance as the major part of it are the ones, the degrees we get the affiliation with. So coming to the previous question, so the students we get are the final year students from these degree programs, and so they're very enthusiastic. Lots of them are, most of them are starting to look for internships and starting to looking out for the places they need to work. That means to start their careers. So they show a lot of interest. And in terms of awareness, I mean, we can say there is a fair bit of awareness with the university students about the CFA program already. I would say roughly 60% of the people. But that tells there is some work to do for us as well to make sure it probably moves to the rest of the 40% as well. Yeah, so that's on that part, Travis.
Okay, so that's encouraging that there is interest in the CFA program. But in terms of like the career goals, in terms of interacting with these students, what have you learned about that? Do they show a keen interest in finance? What sort of like how do they see their career progressing after uni?
Yes, that's a good question. So we have actually we have gathered some data on this aspect as well, because we speak a lot of university students, and from that what I can say is so there are 4 main areas now this finance graduates can go into. Those are, you can be in accounting and audit firms, you can be in the finance profession, like which is not only accounting but the other functions of finance we learn about. Then corporates, you can be a management trainee, etc. And finally, it's the investment profession that we all are in currently. And that is the direct one that the CFA is catering to. So within those 4 options, so far what we have found is people who want to go to investment profession is still a very minority. It's less than 15% of the total population of the students. There could be many reasons why it is low. But however, something encouraging is among the students we have spoken so far, overwhelmingly like about 60% total want to be in the finance field. So that's why they have chosen finance degree as well. So these students especially, have the, the basic foundations who can be an investment professional, at the same time who can be a, candidate for CFA as well. Yeah, so that's their career, what we know currently as of now.
Okay. So I think that's also encouraging, and I think I think you said earlier that there was a lot of interest when it comes to doing the CFA program. But at the same time, what are the sort of challenges, or what are the typical things the potential candidates have about doing the CFA program, about taking that next step and doing the program?
Yeah, so that's again a very good question. So as I said, over 80% of the students, if we ask, they say, oh, do you want to do CFA? They will say yes, around 80%. However, the enrollments have been not as high as that from the university communities so far. The challenges is, one of the main challenges we have seen is the affordability as well, which is a ground reality in Sri Lanka, I would say. If you compare even with SIMA, CFA at the high side, but it's justified because it's a postgraduate qualification. But being at the final year of a university or starting your career in the first few years, people usually say, it's affordability is a big factor that they delay the decision of starting the exams. And so this is something, anyway, CFA is working on. This is where the scholarships comes in. We have the scholarships committee who is handling this entire process. There are several options available for scholarships as well. I mean, I myself have been sitting in the scholarship panels, for a long time now. And university students are, most, university students, we get a lot of students who are applying for scholarships through our scholarship programs as well. So that's one of the challenges. The second challenge is something related to the Sri Lanka, economy and the capital markets. It has been, it hasn't been, really growing. We all know for last, 7-8 years. And that would have created, a tendency for the students even to see, okay, this is not attractive enough market, especially the investment field. But however, we know all the, you have a bear market, then, it will be followed by a bull market at some point of time. So it's a matter of time to start an up cycle in our economy as well as the stock market, so capital market. So that should, that challenge will be solved in that sense, I would say. But for the time being, that is something which is there, as a, which can be told as a factor that is stopping some students not enrolling in CFA.
Yeah, and so that's probably a challenge right now, but also I guess that's an opportunity for the students, that this may be the ideal time for them to maybe get something like the CFA Charter under their belt. And given that we know that it's a very comprehensive program, so probably that's something that will, once the market rebounds or once things improve, probably that will definitely give you an edge when it comes to the job market. I think also just to pick up on the point on scholarships, we are also hoping to do in this event to speak to the scholarship committee chair as well, and he'll be able to provide more insights in terms of I think a lot of candidates have a lot of questions about the scholarships. So do look out for that as well. So just last two questions. So one is in terms of, okay, you already have a lot of activities. Do you have any new events planned, any new sort of new partnerships that you're looking at? What's like the future for the University Outreach Committee?
Yeah, so in terms of the plans we have for the medium term, there are two main projects we want to do as new things. Number one is ethics challenge. So this is the equivalent of the research challenge we already have in the universities. However, however, it's a competition focused on ethics part of the CFA curriculum. It's already been done by global organization, and countries like Singapore and Malaysia have already started doing it locally. So we were directed to start that as well. So we were hoping to start at the latter part of this year to see whether this is something we can get the universities and have a competition on covering ethics part mainly. That's number one. Number two is we get a lot of requests from universities as well as students, finding out internships, especially in the investment research field. So we thought, we have a network of individuals, especially the CFA Sri Lanka Society, who are at senior positions of various organizations within the investment research field. And then now we have a very good relationship with the university faculties and the students as well. So probably we can we can meet both parties, where students can get internships in these organizations. So this is still on the concept stage, but this is something on the high priority on our agenda as well. Something we can start, where ideally what we can say is, if a university request us, okay, there are this degree program now, there are 100 students who are looking for internships, can you help us? So those CVs, we can be a middle person who can forward those CVs to relevant companies within the investment field. That's the idea.
Okay, that's that sounds very interesting, and looking forward to those. So given I think looking at a lot of candidates, particularly the first-time candidates, and a lot of some of candidate council members as well, probably a lot of them have ties to these universities, or they might be currently in the final years. So in that context, is there any opportunities to volunteer in the committee? What are the sort of ways candidates can get involved in the committee?
Yeah, I think main thing I would say is, if we launch the ethics challenge, which will require a lot of challenge, and which will require a lot of coordination from universities as well. So if there are volunteers to help us on that, definitely we will, there will be several opportunities there as well.
Okay, so with that, I'd like to really thank Thilan for taking time off and speaking to us. And I think the message I think we want to leave you with is, right now there might be some challenges with regard to when it comes to the capital markets and finance field. But this is also like an ideal time to consider the CFA program. And particularly if you have ties to these universities, would really encourage you to, if possible, to get involved. And follow what the committee's activities are, and to support them. So that brings us to the end of this Chats with Committee Chairs. And thanks for joining us. And we hope to see you at a future event. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Travis, for the opportunity and arrangement.